Hello and welcome to Round the Table. This is Round the Table, broadcasting not only to Bilbao but throughout the world. And in today's programme we are discussing green. Yes, green. The colour green. But first we have an idiomatic expression. Someone recently asked me about this expression. This book is not a patch on the last one. This means that the previous book was much better and this book is nowhere near as good as the last one. Not a patch on means nowhere near as good. And then she asked me, what does the word patch mean? Which brings us to a whole world of vocabulary, because patch is a very interesting word. So patch can be a small piece of cloth that you might use to repair your trousers, for example. If you have a hole in the knee of your trousers, you might sew on a patch, and then you can use it as a verb. To patch, meaning to repair something with cloth. Or the phrasal verb patch up means to temporarily repair something. And then we have patchwork, which is a way of making things, usually something to cover the bed, for example, with small pieces of cloth of different patterns sewn together, is called patchwork. So from the patch that is used to repair your trousers, you can have a more decorative patch, one maybe with the name of your favourite band or some political statement that you can sew onto your jacket, or you can buy patches of different places that you've been and you can put them on your rucksack. If you are a pirate or you've had some kind of accident with your eye, you might wear an eye patch. And if you are trying to give up smoking, you could have a nicotine patch. A patch can also be a small area of land, so we have a vegetable patch, where you grow your vegetables. And if you are a fan of rugby, you know that Twickenham, the home of English rugby, is also known as the cabbage patch, because before they played rugby there, they used to grow vegetables. So it's known as the cabbage patch. If you are driving on a cold morning, you should be very careful of icy patches on the road. So a small area of the road could have ice or oil on it, which could be a danger. So we refer to icy patches and oily patches on the road. And a patch can also refer to a period of time. So on the journey of your life, you might be going through a difficult patch. If you start to lose your hair, you may have a bald patch. And if you are a gardener and you have trouble growing the grass on your lawn, you might describe your lawn as patchy, because it has bald patches or bare patches. So patch gives us the adjective patchy. And if on the weather forecast they say that there will be patchy fog, it means there will be fog in patches, but not everywhere. Or there could be patches of blue sky among the clouds. And then if someone's performance was described as patchy, it would mean that there were some good bits among a lot of bad bits. So going back to the original expression, this book is not a patch on the last one. We've established that the previous book was much better. But what does patch mean in this sentence? Well, I have no idea. I know what the phrase means, but I don't know what the individual words mean. And this is an important part of translating English phrases. Sometimes the phrase is more important than the individual words. So, this week's conversation has been all about green.
green. What kind of conversation is that?
Green. Well, the colour green is very important to us, really. If you think about trees and plants and things like that, can you imagine living in a city without any green around you?
Ooh, I don't know if I like that.
Because parks are quite important, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it must be horrible, really, just thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah. You see, even though our parks here maybe are not the best parks in the world, but if you live in Bilbao, it's really easy to escape, isn't it? To get to other places, because we've got green mountains all around.
Yeah, and wherever you are, you can look up, no, some green scenery.
You can always see
Yeah.
green mountains from everywhere in Bilbao. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very easy to escape. And that's why the background images this week, the slow TV images going on in the background, are from Bolintxu, which is a valley, maybe 15 minutes from here? Takes about 15 minutes to walk there.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long.
And it's good to have an escape, because living in blocks of flats, as people do here, it's very unusual to have a garden in Bilbao. I don't think anybody has a garden
In the city, I don't think so, no.
No, but we do have balconies, which can be very good, and I do like my balcony.
You do, don't you?
Yes, and would you like a quick tour of the balcony, Ursula?
Oh, yes, please.
Let's have a musical interlude. So that's the balcony.
Oh, that's very good.
And there's an expression that we use, using the word green, for people that enjoy gardening, people that are good with plants.
Yeah, what is it?
That is to have green fingers. They say you have green fingers. Or in America, they say green thumb.
Oh.
Which doesn't make much sense to me, because you need fingers, don't you, to do things with plants, not just the thumb. But yeah, gardens are very important, I think.
Oh, you have green fingers, don't you?
Yeah, kind of. But the video that you've just seen of the balcony it looks a bit bare because it's the beginning of the year, and I've been repotting things. Pot is the container that you put your plants in.
Yeah.
And then you can use pot as a verb to put things in pots. And then you can repot if you put things in other pots. And if you put water on your plants, we have a special verb. It's
To?
water. It's the verb water. You water the plants.
Oh.
We do, of course, have the verb irrigate and the noun irrigation, but that's not really appropriate for your garden or your balcony.
That's more professional, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's a Latin thing, like all these things in English. If it's on a big industrial scale, like in a big greenhouse where they grow tomatoes in the south of Spain, for
Yeah.
example, they would have an irrigation system.
Yeah.
They irrigate their plants because it's kind of technical.
Yeah.
But of course, like all things in English, we have the Latin word and then we have the more Germanic one. So the one we use at home is the Germanic one. So we just water the plants, we don't irrigate.
I like that. I like the way maybe we do it as well in Spanish, but you make verbs from nouns. Yes.
Yeah. And so you can use the verb plant as well.
Yeah.
If you get a plant and you put it in the ground, the verb is to plant.
Yeah.
So we have to pot, to plant, and to water. That's really simple, isn't it?
It is, indeed.
Verbs from nouns. Anyway,
going back to green.
Yeah, the thing we were talking about is how important it is to be in contact with plants. And we were wondering if it actually does something physically to you, because most people feel better when they have plants around them.
Yeah.
And we bring plants into our houses sometimes for decoration, like at Christmas we bring lots of bits of tree and things into the house.
Yeah.
And people like bringing flowers into houses, don't they?
That's true. Yeah.
And having plants in your house always makes the house look better.
But I think it does, going into nature and being, I don't know what it is, but it's a really good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's a connection with nature, because we've become disconnected only in the last few centuries, really.
Yeah.
Because everybody used to be much more connected with nature, and we spent a lot more time with trees and plants in the past than we do now.
Yeah.
But and some people have lost the connection, but a lot of people like to maintain it with growing plants, and people growing vegetables. They get a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
And we all like to look at a tree. Trees are beautiful things.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. But I think it's a tendency, again, people, like you said, having small gardens in their balconies. And when they design a city, there's always a space for a big green area. I think they've realized how important it is.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, they say it's the lungs of the city.
Yeah.
It helps us breathe and it cleans the air.
And also, if you think about it, as temperature is increasing, it's better to have green areas instead of blocks of concrete, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess they keep the city cooler, don't they?
Yeah. So it might be that, but yeah.
Yeah, so gardens and balconies and plants in pots, and even window boxes like a little tiny garden that you can put in your window.
Yeah.
Even those are good, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that was an expression, to have green fingers. Another thing we were talking about was green with envy. Why we associate the colour green with envy, because I've never seen anybody go green. And I wonder why we say it. Because there's an association here with green and envy.
Yeah.
Apparently. And in France there is. We know this because somebody was telling me about Asterix comics.
Yeah.
And the characters in those comics, they go green with envy as well.
Ah.
So I don't know how far spread this is, the association with envy and green. Whether it's an international thing.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody listening in India or in Bolivia or somewhere in the world might know something and send us a message.
I wonder what it is. Yeah.
It might just be a European thing. And talking about envy, there's another really interesting expression. The grass is always greener. Well, some people say the grass is always greener. Some people say the grass is always greener on the other side. And some people say the grass is always greener on the other side of the valley or of the fence.
So maybe that was first, and that's why the other one is green with envy.
It might be associated because they're both talking about envy, aren't they?
Yeah.
So do you know how we use the grass is always greener? Do you know what it refers to?
Well, I guess it's when you look at your neighbor, for example, and you think he's got a really good life.
Mm.
Yeah. So you think the grass is always greener, but you don't really know. It might not be. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing, that you kind of see the good bits of someone else's life, but you don't see all the disadvantages that come with it.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody's self-employed and they have a friend who works in an office, the one who works in the big company in the office is really jealous. Oh, it must be great being self-employed. You can work whichever hours you want. You can take the afternoon off if you want to. But then the person who's self-employed says, oh, it's really easy for you. You just arrive at the office and somebody gives you work to do. And you don't have to look for new customers or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So you always see the other side.
Yeah. I think that's very human to do that.
Yeah.
Always compared to other people, don't you?
Yeah.
You always...
Well, next week the topic is comparison. Next week we're talking about comparing, how we compare our lives with other people.
Yeah.
And so it's all tied in with comparisons and jealousies and things like that. But generally we don't really know what another person's life is like, because quite often we only see the best bits, don't we?
Yeah.
Like all the photographs you see on people's Facebook profiles.
Facebook.
Yeah, they always put photos of them like on a beach drinking cocktails and things like that. You never see them waking up in the morning with their hair in a mess and all that kind of stuff. People with hangovers and
yeah, you don't want to see that, do you?
and when they show photos of their food, don't they? The people take photos of food and it's like a really big expensive steak or like a really expensive meal in a restaurant. They never take a photo of their breakfast cereal, do they? They never do that.
No.
So we always get a false impression of other people's lives anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was Green with Envy, and the grass is always greener.
Very good.
We were also talking about planting trees and this kind of greenwashing. This greenwashing that companies do, if they try to make it sound that they're really green and they care about the environment. Because the lift in our building, where our meeting point office is, in the lift there's a little sticker, and it says, if you've got a building and you install one of their lifts, they'll plant a tree for you. And that's not going to make any difference, is it?
Well, not really, but it's everywhere now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Planting trees. Even when you look at your bank, they tell you how many trees do you have to plant, according to what you've spent on flights, electricity, all your bills. And it's like, okay. Thank you very much for the information.
It's to offset your carbon footprint. That's the phrase, to offset.
Okay,
Yeah. It's one of those strange words, offset. It's got off and set, and it's kind of, they're a bit like phrasal verbs, aren't they? You get lots of verbs like that come with up and down, off, like to downplay, to offset, to upgrade, all those kind of things. They're a bit like phrasal verbs, aren't they?
But the other way around.
Yeah. I must start a collection and make a video all about that.
Yeah.
So planting trees to absorb carbon. We were trying to work out, because we don't really know, but one of our people is a retired biology teacher. So we found out a bit about how carbon is absorbed into trees. Yeah. So you can take the carbon out of the atmosphere by planting trees.
Yeah.
But then it's only in the tree. And if you burn the tree, all that carbon goes back again. So I'm not sure if or how much carbon could be taken out of the atmosphere and put into the ground. If the leaves fall off and then creatures like worms take the leaf down underground, then maybe that carbon does go back into the ground. But how much of that carbon that comes out of the air into the tree is actually taken out of the air forever? because it seems like it will all go back in as soon as the tree dies, goes back into the air. But we couldn't work out how that works exactly.
So maybe that's not the solution then, planting trees.
I'm not convinced, because I was looking at the chat GPT. I was asking it questions, and it said for every person, it's in the book here somewhere, for every person we have to plant 127 trees for every person in the world.
That's a lot of
But
trees.
I think I heard on the science programme on the BBC, I think it was on Crowd Science on the BBC radio, and I think they said it was more like 2,000 trees for every person.
Really?
So it's kind of impossible, really.
Yeah, I can see that
I
happening.
think the only solution is to stop putting so much carbon into the atmosphere.
Well, that's going to be difficult as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So we do like to plant a tree. If you plant a tree, I think it's just a way of making you feel better, really.
Yeah.
It's
I
the same.
agree.
It's the same as not using plastic bags when you go to the supermarket. I don't think it really makes a lot of difference, but it kind of gives us an easy conscience. Like, I'm doing my bit, they say, don't they? I'm doing my bit.
Yeah. But still, with the plastic bags, I don't really know how it works, where you don't use the plastic bags, but everything comes in plastic.
Yeah, there's so much packaging, isn't there? Yeah. And then you have to buy the plastic bags to use for the rubbish.
Yeah.
Because before we used to just use carry bags from the supermarket.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we don't have them. We have to buy some other plastic bags.
Yeah, I think that's a good business. Yeah. But anyway.
Anyway, another expression related to this is a drop in the ocean. So if you use a reusable bag, it's a drop in the ocean. It means it's a contribution, but it's a tiny effect compared to the bigger effects out there.
Yeah.
And also a token gesture is another good expression, where, like planting a tree, it's very similar to a drop in the ocean, but a token gesture is more symbolic, like to show that you care, but it's not really doing much. Yeah, that's a token gesture.
What about eat your greens?
Eat your greens. Yeah, that's what your mother used to say. Yeah. Greens. That's a very vague term, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I was young, that was the word for all cabbages and spinaches and all that kind of stuff. Brussels sprouts, peas. They were just called greens, especially when you're in school. They used to say, eat your greens. Very vague term. Well, it's strange, isn't it? Because when you're young, you hate that kind of stuff. Don't you? And then when you get older, well, for some people's tastes change. But yes, I was talking to someone this week who hates Brussels sprouts. Oh, we had a debate.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, we had a difference of opinion in the class of people that loved Brussels sprouts and people that hated Brussels sprouts. It's strange, isn't it? It's like spinach. Some people can't stand spinach.
But spinach has got very irony flavour,
Yeah, it's
hasn't
very
it?
metallic and earthy, yeah. But it's not as bad as chard. Chard is worse. You know what chard is?
Yeah.
That's, I can't stand that. That's terrible. It's just too metallic for me. It's like, Anyway, so you must eat your greens because it's good for your digestive system. So green, I told you green was a fascinating topic.
It is.
Like many of these topics, people start at the beginning and they say, what kind of topic is this? And then after a couple of hours of conversation, they realise that green was a fantastic topic and very, very interesting.
Very good, Richard.
Anyway, so next week our topic of conversation is... what did I say? Comparisons, yeah. We've got lots of those similes there, as white as a sheet and all that to look at. So next week we'll be doing comparisons, and that's enough for this week.
Okay.
So I'm going to start editing this video, and Usoa's going to the gymnasium or somewhere probably, and this will be broadcast on Sunday morning. So don't forget to tune in next week, and don't forget to like and leave a comment and everything else. And I will see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.